Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's Ag Forecast brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions, your premier platform for real-time global insights. Well, it is week 20, and this is a very important week because one of the tools that the USDA uses kind of to get an early understanding of where the upcoming season may go is the week 20 planning progress. Now, it's not to single out a single week and say it's more important than any other, but this week's planning progress report was important because it was an initial part of the development of the Westcott-Jewison model. It was actually the first variable that went into their 5-variable multi-regression model, which helped them kind of estimate yields. So when we look at the total precipitation from the weekend going into week 20, I felt like I lived in a little isolated bubble. See, I traveled Interstate 72, which basically runs right in through here, multiple times this past weekend, seeing family and going on a field trip with my son. And I was amazed to see so many farmers get out and get a lot of work done. And it felt as though we were making progress. But stepping back and looking at the bigger picture, look at the rest of the Corn Belt. Look at the rest of the United States over the last 72 hours. It was an incredibly tumultuous last several days. And I'm going to start off with the cold side of things first. Remember how we had discussed some of the high plains here, parts of Montana picking up on some of the snow, and also here parts of Minnesota doing this as well. But I think much of the story over the last 4 days has been just the incredible amount of severe weather. We can go from the 19th, back to the 18th, 17th, and 16th. That's the order of these maps here. We see a total of 877 reports, 71 tornadoes, 270 reports of hail, and 536 reports of wind. And you can see each one of the dots, and it's so much severe weather. I can't go through any of the particular storms. I'm just going to tell you this. We are nowhere close to done with this pattern. Now, what's amazing is some of the stuff that was done as a part of the research project called Taurus. I want to thank Ian Livingston for posting this picture. The background picture are mammatus clouds. Mammatus clouds are found under the anvils of powerful thunderstorms, and that is your very own NOAA P3. That's a research aircraft for NOAA flying through these severe storms, taking observations and measurements. And here, this was posted by Jacqueline. We're launching a drone here as a part of Taurus that is going to go fly right up next to and sample and get a lot of amazing data inside of some of our most severe thunderstorms on the planet. We also have a group of students here that are out launching weather balloons. So this is one of my former students, Manda Chasteen, out there launching a balloon and some strong inflow. So this balloon is going to get sucked straight into the thunderstorm. You see how she had to back up so that it could clear the power lines? This is what severe weather research really looks like. I know we tend to think it's more like what they saw in the movie Twister and whatnot. No, it's stuff like this. And that little instrument pack there gives us an enormous amount of data, and it gets sucked right into these supercell thunderstorms. And you may ask, why do we do it? We do it for this. This is a simulation done by Leah Orff. She is at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And with that data, we are able to reconstruct inside of our supercomputing facilities simulations like this. And that's why we do it, to understand these beasts that kind of roam the midsection of our country. And we are not done. Look at this. I've never actually seen this. This is from tulsaschools.org. So this is the Tulsa, Oklahoma school system. On Sunday, they actually released this report. This is due to inclement weather. We're shutting everything down on Monday. You don't have to make up this day, but there is a major severe weather threat. And it's because the atmosphere is just unrelenting in this pattern. And it's something I feel like a broken record talking about this. Strong Pacific jet. And there are a lot of reasons for this. We've got help from westerly wind bursts from El Nino, the Mad-Julian oscillations helping out, the blocking that's happening over the North Pole. It's all coming down to giving us this screaming jet stream. Large ridge sitting over the southeast, and this is just pumping moisture into the midsection of the country. Cold upper level temperatures. That gives us the perfect situation for hail. Strong wind shear, that gives us this perfect situation for rotating thunderstorms. And the upper level divergence, which is what's happening in this section of the flow of the atmosphere, is supportive of lifting motion. And when we put it all together, well, let's take a look at the all hazards weather map. Now, this was available at 3 a.m. when I'm recording this video. We can see we have frost advisories and freeze warnings out here for parts of the north central plains. So cold air tucked in behind this system. We're already watching a large region in here for flooding. We've got high wind warnings on the backside. And this map throughout the day on Monday and Tuesday is going to get a whole lot more colorful because we will be dealing with a sizable multi-day severe weather event. Looking at your next 5 days of total accumulated precipitation. Now, this comes from the National Blended Model. What we're going to be focusing on is the multiple pulses coming right in through this corridor, bringing in some extremely heavy rain and a lot of severe weather here on Monday, and it's going to progress to the east on Tuesday. You can see that the National Blended Model is trying to allow the southeastern ridge to not only kind of keep a lot of storms away from the southeastern ridge, other than those pop-up storms that are going to be happening on some of the extreme heat that the southeast will be dealing with, but it seems as though that the eastern part of the Corn Belt may also be avoiding some of these storms from Michigan through Indiana, maybe even east central Illinois. But this is not to say that there's not storms and rain coming. This is just the blended model here, seeing less of it. But before I talk about that, I want to show you this. It's quite rare that the Storm Prediction Center issues a high risk. It takes a very special set of circumstances coming together here. And I just want to make it very clear that inside of this region today, it's bullseyed right there for you in the midsection of the country. There are multiple chances of having strong supercell thunderstorms that produce tornadoes. And that is just the message we have to hear. Now, this again will be a nowcasting event. I'm going to show you some of our high-resolution models that were run overnight, but throughout the day today, it will be where the storms initialize and where they move and how their outflow dominates the lifting and development of new storms. That's going to be the name of the game. It'll be a very, very challenging weather forecasting day. And not to make this a side note, but as the system that moved through the eastern Corn Belt gets toward the northeast today, there's a slight risk for storms that stretches from parts of New York through Connecticut, through Massachusetts, up toward Vermont, New Hampshire, and even up into Maine. So this isn't just an isolated event going on here in the central U.S., but we got to show you and talk about what's going on right there first. So before I get into some of the other details, I'm at least going to run for you the high resolution rapid refresh model. And what we're going to be watching for is the initialization twice today of severe storms right in this area. You will see the upper level float in that trough, the counterclockwise flow spinning here in the mountains out west. And that is just the telltale sign that the atmosphere is primed to do this. So watch this with me. Let's get some timing down here. This is 6 o'clock in the morning. Here we go. Moving through mid-morning, we're watching a lot of scattered showers and thunderstorms moving through northern Texas into Oklahoma and then definitely Kansas and Nebraska. Now, what you're going to see is with the heating of the day, the second wave comes in right here in late afternoon. See it right there? And that is the scary part of the system. Incredibly heavy rain out ahead of it. But with the destabilization and the movement of the dry line coming through, this is where the Storm Prediction Center is very concerned about multiple long-lived, strong supercell thunderstorms that can produce tornadoes. And what you're going to see is as I progress into the evening hours on Monday, the heavy rain progresses into Kansas, gets over into southern Iowa, Missouri, and eventually over into Illinois by the early morning. But you're going to see multiple rounds. See them coming back down here into Texas. This is around midnight on Monday night into Tuesday morning, and we're just dealing with the same thing here. By the time we get into early Tuesday morning, you actually see the whole wave emerge from the Rocky Mountains, and there it is. And by this time, we're now again concerned about our high plains snow threat here. Heavy, heavy rain out ahead of this, cool temperatures on the back side of this. And again, we're going to be watching right along this corridor on Tuesday for more severe weather. Now, I told you that we weren't, it looked as though the eastern Corn Belt was going to stay drier than anywhere else. But look, you're still going to get scattered showers and thunderstorms moving through that area, some of which may be severe. So that is the main thing in the short-term forecast I wanted to detail out for you, just looking out over your next 1.5, maybe 2 days here. Okay, as we get into the day on Tuesday, you do see the severe weather threat shifting to the east. That is what the map over here on the left is highlighting. So this is Tuesday. And by Wednesday, we're going to see this system kind of move out. But I'm just going to tell you, the atmosphere is in reload motion. It's going to get back into this same pattern you just saw it in by the middle of this week and progressing toward the end. So I'm just going to take you out to Wednesday because we'll have multiple reports that'll come out before then to give us an idea about the rest of the weekend. But these are your two Storm Prediction Center maps for Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. Now let's talk temperatures before we get into some of the weeds here with the details. Whenever you see this pattern, this is just the atmosphere telling you exactly what it's doing. Big ridge over the southeast, deep trough out west, and like we've been talking about for so long, that lights up the central plains. Days 6 through 10, we continue to see this. The southeast, we are going to be accumulating a lot of heat units, a lot of groin degree units. We're going to be seeing temperatures getting deep into the 90s. I'm actually heading down to South Carolina and Virginia to give talks this week, and I'll be in the middle of that massive heat wave away from a lot of the severe weather, and I'll be sure to reporting what some of the conditions look like there while I'm traveling. But look at this. When we get out to days 11 through 15, while the southeast hangs on to warmth, and certainly from Alaska through the Canadian prairies is seeing warmth, it appears as though we're kind of losing the big temperature anomalies across much of the rest of the country. But let me throw in a caveat here. There's some pretty substantial models spread beyond day 11 in trying to predict what's going to happen. So we're going to look at some of the details of that right now, okay? Now, no surprise what you're going to see as I initialize this. Look, deep trough swinging through the western United States. And again, look at the dominant southeast ridge just smoking those folks out very, very hot. Now, as we move forward, I'm out to the 25th here. I'm looking to see if I get some sort of a pattern change, 27th, 28th, the end of May. Basically, from now through the end of May, we can't shake that southeastern ridge, that trough that's kind of sweeping through the western United States. And if we just see, well, maybe does the first week of June hold any sort of hope? I'm going to pay most close attention to the fact that we do start to see maybe the ridge retreating a little bit to the west as the upper level trough gets out of the southwest and migrates in this direction. Now, I'm just trying to find if there's something that says, Eric, there's a pattern change that's coming, and it's going to mean that we're going to move away from the regime we're in, which is one that is quite volatile and quite violent. And it is as though the model is suggesting that. What is quite interesting is that normally when we see a ridge sitting here and a bigger ridge sitting over there, the flow of the atmosphere often tries to give us another one in between, but it's all about the wavelength of the flow of the atmosphere and other things that are going on. If we can get an upper level trough to really set up off the southwest coast of California, that could help push that ridge back west more toward the central plains, and that's a different look, and therefore it kind of gets us out of this constant, non-stop stream of unstable, high moisture air that's leading to all of these severe weather outbreaks that you've been seeing. I'll show it to you in a little bit different way in just a few seconds. But let's now run through the European model to see how this all progresses. Again, starting at 6 a.m. this morning, playing through the day. Watch it again there, right there. That's the system that's curling up. This is what we've talked about in detail. This is as it moves over toward the eastern Corn Belt through middle of this week. So again, the dominance of the southeast ridge, see how it makes it kind of fizzle here? The deepness of the upper level trough yanks this system north, not east. And that's why we allow the southeastern ridge to shut down the rainfall the farther east we go. But as I said, the atmosphere is in reload motion. This is now next Thursday morning. See the next system coming up there? There it is. Now, I know it doesn't look like much compared to what you just saw, but it is. It's substantial. We have to look at it. Big southeastern ridge over here, though. Now, I got to take you back because there's something else I want to show you here. Right now, we actually have what may be our first tropical or it could also have subtropical nature to it, but the system kind of spinning out here in the warm water that's off the east coast of the United States. So we're watching that as well. So this is an extremely active pattern for the United States. And I'm just going to take you out a week because I just don't have enormous amounts of confidence beyond that. But this is a little selfish. I'm a little concerned about this particular forecast time slot right here. Again, see our southeast ridge? We're running storms right around it. There'll be a warm front parked right in through here. And what I don't like about this is that I will be over at the Indianapolis 500. I'm so thankful I get to go again. And there is the chance right now. Now remember, I'm making this early in the morning on Monday. But next week, chance of thunderstorms right in through there. Okay, let's look at our operational models to just pinpoint how much rain we're expecting to get by next Monday. Now, I know that you look in here and you see, wow, there's a large section of the country that might get 6, 7, 8 inches. Remember, this is a nowcasting situation. There is a pocket in there that will get some very heavy rain, but these models won't be able to handle it. What this tells me is week 20. Remember we started this video? Week 20, a crucial week, is going to be extremely wet and extremely extremely severe in some places of the country. Southeast Ridge, hot, dry. This will be the area that will be the most challenging to forecast to see who gets field work done. And overall, I'm pleased with the agreement between the European model and the GFS right now with these runs. Very, very wet. Now, what about week 2? Now, I want you to remember that if we end up getting a flow pattern that does something a bit more like this, where we kind of center our ridge somewhere here, the problem that we're going to have is, you can see this in the US model here, the GFS week 2 ensemble, that it's tending to keep this section of the country wet. We're recycling precipitation. We have different decent upper level support, but this isn't the type of ridge that just shuts down all the precipitation. And week 2, remember, gets us out into the very beginning of June. Now I'm going to let you know something here, and that is that the longer range models keep hinting at doing something like this once we get into the month of June, which is bringing the ridge back toward the middle part of the country. I have extremely low confidence in this right now, but I will definitely address it in my Wednesday update, which will give you the long-range outlook for the next 6 weeks. I want to finish by talking a bit about Europe. We are expecting to see throughout the beginning of this week a lot of very heavy rain in a couple of places. Just to kind of get you oriented here so that we kind of know where we sit. This is, the Black Sea region's right in through here, so this is some pretty productive ground just on the northern side of it. But Germany, expecting a lot of very, very heavy rain, possible flooding, severe weather threat on this side, just a little bit to the east of Germany. And you can see that the flow is really doing this. So there's a ridge here building a lot of heat, but this is translating east with time. So Europe, you're going to go through a pretty rapid transition in terms of temperatures and precipitation. Globally, where we're trying to harvest a safrinha crop in Brazil, there is basically no major anomaly there. We aren't just hearing much of a story at all coming out of Brazil right now. India, very hot and dry week coming up. When you look up here, no major precipitation anomalies in China's major growing regions. It's a little bit wetter to the north and drier to the south. But outside of that, looking at temperatures, this isn't cold enough to be bringing in a major threat for frost. Like I said, very hot in India and no major deviations from normal across China in terms of temperatures. I hate to say it, but globally, this is your hot spot right here. Okay, with that, I got to wrap this video up. We at Nutrien Ag Solutions hope you look forward to all of our ag forecasts coming out this week. That's at my.nutrienagsolutions.com. I look forward to talking to you each day this week. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.